Where are we here? All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, if you don't mind. Where's the flag? We're not off to a very good start. Anybody have a flag lapel on? All right, so how about we just pretend there's a flag in the corner? All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reverend Kenyon, would you mind the blessing? Where'd he go? There he is.
Our Heavenly Father, today we thank you for the privileges that we have within our country. But among those privileges, we realize that we have an education program, that the hopes of it is to reach all of our youth, our younger youth. In fact, many of our adults stay in the programs. But out of it, that, Lord, our nation will be blessed. And so as we take time to talk about it in this conference today, and the young lady that will be honored in this time, we would pray not only your blessing to be upon everyone that's involved in education, but everyone that supports education, and everyone who is better because of the education that they have received. Thank you for the food. May your blessing be upon it. May it be strength to our bodies. And if there are those here today that, Lord, need extra help in their bodies, may that food be a blessing to them. Right now we pray this with your divine help. We ask of this now in the name of God the Father, Jesus Christ the Son, and the comfort of the Holy Spirit. Amen and amen. It's a privilege.
What do you mean?
Okay, we've got some thank yous to give out. First and foremost, we want to thank our sponsors, of course. Without them, these things can't happen. We want to thank our diamond sponsors, Millville Savings Bank and Oceans First Bank. Our gold sponsors would be Mintz Insurance, Allen Associates, and Century Savings Bank. And then our silver sponsors would be Inspira Health Network, the Authority, the City of Millville, and South Jersey Gas. Okay. We also would like to thank the Motorsports Park Green Flag Committee for being this luncheon sponsor today, and Millville Public Schools for sponsoring as well and presenting. Also, big thumbs up for the Motorsports Park for the food and the venue that they provide to us. All right. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Executive Director, Jerry Cabella.
Thank you, Don. Welcome, everyone. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to be at what we consider one of the most important luncheons of the year. We always want to spotlight education and what's happening across the community for our youth. So just so you know, there are over 30 businesses represented here today. Thank each and every one for your continued support of the Chamber of Commerce and our community. For our guests, if this is your first time here, don't make it your last time. Next month we have a great luncheon, so we would hope that you would be in attendance. As always, there's a busy schedule ahead. An extremely busy schedule. So I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible, but I have a quick quiz. What is happening on May 26th in Millville? Yes. Pride in Millville at the Leroy Theater. Thank you for that correct answer. We would expect to see everyone there. Tell your friends, tell your relatives, tell people even from Vineland, right, that the Leroy Theater is the place to be on May 26th. So let's make sure that we pack the house for what will be Most amazing evening. So you'll see in our presentation today, we have listed all the winners, so you can see who will be recognized this year. On June 8th, our luncheon will focus on our young people and the psychological and physical impact that they've endured the last few years. It goes without saying that we put incredible pressure on our children through COVID, through differences in education, which the good superintendent will talk about and how we've come through that. The ramifications of that we kind of suspect may be powerful, and there is some data that has come out that suggests it is. Social services for our youth has increased. There's data that supports that, and next month we will have Ron Hudak, who is representing the South Jersey Social Services Network. He will be in to share some of that eye-opening data with us. We're going to be challenged to go out and protect our children a lot more, and next month will be a great starting point for us to be more aware of what we're seeing and how we can do a better job protecting our children and our future. On June 15th, we'll be hosting a virtual Lunch and Learn program. The presentation will be hosted by fellow Millville Chamber member, expense reduction analyst, and will focus on the art and science of price negotiation. So ERA has designed this workshop specifically for us, and it's for business owners and managers who are intent on reducing costs and understanding the specific structure to achieve maximum profitability. I've had a chance to view the workshop, a recorded version of that, and it is spectacular. So if you're a business person and you are looking to become much more efficient and definitely maximize your revenue, this is a great free workshop that you could attend. So you'll want to go to our website. All these events will be posted within the next couple days. On June 28th, we will be part of a 3-chamber event as we bring together the Bridgeton, Millville, Vineland chambers for a breakfast meeting at the Hampton Inn and Suites on Landis Avenue. The topic, we discussed this last month, marijuana and how the cannabis industry will impact our economy in Cumberland County. This will be a panel discussion that will feature the city leaders from all 3 municipalities. We'll also include some representation from state to give us some insight on what the future of cannabis looks like specifically in our area. So as you probably have seen, many businesses are jockeying for a position in this industry. We're going to get a better feel for how that's going to play out in our county. So again, that's important. That will be at the Hampton Inn. It's a breakfast event on June 28th. On September 10th, if Gary Galloway were here, he'd give me the double thumbs up. The car show is on September 10th. And we want to make sure that we make this the biggest and best ever. So mark your calendars, September 10th. Don't go to the shore, go to High Street in Millville, and you'll have a much better time. A late addition, and if I could, just a couple minutes on this. We've been approached by the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia's Rio Tashiro, who was here last year to give us a presentation on the Fed's view of economic issues in our region. He did a great job during that presentation. He's in the process of conducting a qualitative study with his colleagues, and he has specifically asked for the help of the Millville Chamber of Commerce. They're focusing on 2 sectors, manufacturing and leisure hospitality, and they are especially interested in talking with companies that are either having serious staffing challenges or piloting new approaches to finding and retaining lower wage and non-college workers, right? So if your company fits this criteria, talk to me today and I will personally connect you with Rio in Philadelphia, and you will be involved in what is a pretty intriguing study. We put this call out yesterday. We already have 4 businesses in Millville that have responded. He's looking for 3 or 4 more businesses. So if you think you would fit the criteria, please make sure you see me, and we'll make the connection on your behalf. And with that, President Daigle, the show is yours again.
There you go. Things happen. Okay, a couple of things that I want to make sure people pay attention to. We've got a flyer on everybody's table. Take a minute to read that. If there's something positive going on in the community, we certainly want to support that. The next thing is we have a drawing at the end of this. Has this gone around the tables? Business cards, we're going to do a drawing. All right, well, I'm going to put it over here. Throw a business card in and then give it to another table. At the end, we'll have a drawing. And at this time, you know, I want to say something before I go on to reading and announcing the member. We lost some very special people in our community recently. One of them, George Mitchell, very long-time member of this board. I think he was the gentleman who got me on this board. He was very involved with the Kiwanis Club. And, you know, he created a lot of very good things for us. One of them is our monthly award winner for Civic Pride, our Pride of Millville awards ceremony. And this year we've decided to create a George Mitchell Civic Award. And so we've got our inaugural recipient in that, but it also ties into somebody else that this community lost a long time ago, his wife, Phyllis. So Phyllis was very involved in education, and we have some funds from them that we're hopefully going to do this annually in their name. So this year we've got, you know, the Education Award from Phyllis, but we've also got our Civic Award from George, and I think it just ties in wonderfully for our community. If you knew them, you knew the Mitchell family the way I do, you know this is just a great moment. So that's how special it is, Gabrielle. All right, so just understand that. So before I bring her up and present it, I'm going to read this. It's 3 pages long, by the way. So we have Gabrielle Akiatan. Okay, proud graduate of Millville High School this year. Her GPA is 4.4799. 4.4799. Wow. So she is a National Honor Society member, Congressional Medal Award recipient, a HOBY leadership, is that Hobby? Hobie, there you go. Hobie Leadership Representative at Millville High School. She is accepted and will be attending the College of New Jersey, class of 2026. So, like my children, staying in state, wonderful, staying local. Under community service, she's done a lot. She's involved in Levoy Theater, Child Family Center, Bishop McCarthy Nursing Home, Tri-M volunteer hours she served. She is also a choir member and a leader in the congregation for the choir at the Christ the Good Shepherd Parish. And then that's just outside of school, some of her volunteering. Inside of school, she's obviously National Honor Society, Tri-M Music Honor Society, Congressional Medal Award Program, Med Academy. She's part of the marching band, Millville High School Student Council, the Drama Club, Madrigals, Olympic Conference Honors Band, and also South Jersey Chorus. Okay, wow. She's also a class officer, Leaders Club. For goodness sake, woman. She's a Congressional Medal Award recipient multiple times, and this year gold medal recipient, silver recipient in 2020, bronze medal in 2019, and bronze, silver, and gold in 2019. And she's obviously obtained her varsity letter for academics and the marching band. Wow. With that, I'd like to ask Mike Mitchell to come up first to help us with this award. And Gabrielle, would you mind coming up as well?
I'll bring it.
Yeah, we have a scholarship check somewhere. Where is it? We'll get that to you. We have to launder it first. So with that, Mike, go ahead.
Gabriella, On behalf of my entire family, congratulate you for your accomplishments and for being this year's Student of the Year. I'd like to present you with this award and also the scholarship, and wish you all the brightest of futures, and may God bless you.
Now, I know when I was in high school, I could have never spoken in front of people, ever. Oh, principal in the photo, where? Oh, wonderful. Got another photo here. Oh, hold on. Get back in. Ready? Try it again. Yeah, let's try it again. There you go.
Hold on, it's durable. It's well made. Good old deep glass. Thank you so much.
I just want to thank my parents and all my friends and all the staff and administration and teachers that have helped me get to where I am today, because I would not be here without you. So thank you so much.
I just have to echo everything that was said about Gabby. I actually had something to say, but I personally am very proud of Gabby. She is a remarkable student. She is a leader at our school. She's amazing in her academics, but also I want to stress the community volunteering. She does a lot for our community and beyond our community. As it was said, she volunteers in Vineland too. So congratulations, Gabby. When they asked who would be our Student of the Year, I asked the guidance counselors, I asked the VPs, and everybody came up with Gabby. So she was the overall choice for our Student of the Year, so we are very proud of her, as her family is, so thank you everybody for this.
I love that part. I think we're on schedule here, so I'm going to ask everybody to just enjoy your lunch, and we'll start the program again and introduce our speaker. And so you got 5 or 10 minutes. Enjoy. All right, everyone, I hope you're enjoying your lunch. Please continue to eat, but in the interest of making sure we have enough time, we're going to get our program started. And I just went over to our upcoming speaker and asked him if he was ready to dance, and he said he's ready to do cartwheels. And so I dared him to do one. Tony, would you mind coming up after your cartwheel and showing us? I'm just kidding. So Tony, thank you. Tony Trongo, Superintendent of Millville Public Schools.
Thank you, Don. Thank you for having me. And Mr. Cabella, thank you for inviting me again. And again, Mike, I met your dad, and this is my second year in Millville, and why Millville is special, it is for people like George Mitchell, why it's so special. So I'm missing him already. I know he's in the placard at Culver Center, and he's what we call a bucket filler, not a bucket tipper. So thank you for being here. I'm going to get started, and just a preface. So in today's presentation, I'm going to give an update of what's going on in the school district, similar to what I had brought forth to the school board at a school board meeting, but talking to Jerry and knowing about what's going on with our children post-pandemic or during the pandemic, and the social-emotional aspect of it. I brought in our special ed director, or our director for exceptional children, Steve Atus. They'll have a part in this presentation also, so the Chamber of Commerce will be aware of all the things that we're already doing in Millville Public Schools. So that being said, so this way when we come in June, the group can know what the schools are doing and how Mr. Hudak can help the schools in this ongoing initiative. So that being said, this is our life right now. It's juggling plates. We got a lot of plates in the air. Oh, we all do. We all do. But in school, I'm sorry you can't see it. We talk about we want schools to be safe. So we want school security. Obviously, we've been dealing with COVID. Whether you're on one side of the issue or the other, schools have to follow certain executive orders, and it was a heavy lift. And I'm talking to you now on May 11th, but if I talk to you on May 11th on 2020 or May 11th, 2021, it's a different story. And so our folks should be commended for that. I'm going to commend our folks later on in the presentation. Also, we talked about student behavior and social-emotional learning, student achievement, school funding, staffing. You're all in business, you know, about just trying to get talent. You know, a lot of people are getting out of the education trade. And so we have to take great effort to improve our outreach on getting the best talent in our schools. And then Dr. Moore, longtime administrator, she's retiring this year. She's assistant superintendent, and she says, Tony, it's just one more thing. And I just want to honor her with that. So there's always going to be one more thing. That's what I told her then. Pam, there is always going to be one more thing. And so with that, you know, we're going to move forward. And then I put this on my Twitter page because it says, never mistake activity for achievement. And John Woodham is one of my favorite coaches. And because I think that in education we do a lot, but we never look and see if we're making progress. And in business, you know, I grew up in a family business. You know, you have to produce. You have to produce. So, you know, never mistake activity for achievement. And let's see if we're trending upward and we're going to be improving in all aspects of education. Student achievement, character development, social-emotional aspects of it, extracurricular activities. So the first part, these are our district goals. So there's a level of transparency, and Deb Malone's here, a board member. We have former board member, Mr. McQuaid. We have Mr. Weldon here, so they're very familiar with our goals. And so that being said, in human resources is led by Scott Godfrey, Millville boy, great guy. He had a heavy lift, and he was our COVID guru. He had to deal with whatever came down. Every week there was a change, and he fostered our road forward plan. Looking at the data and all the requirements, and Don Feuerbach's here, so he knows about what the County Department of Health is asking in regard to our data, and Millville was on the cutting edge in regard to what we were doing in our response to COVID. And then also looking at our procedures, all the things that go on to keeping our kids in school and keeping our kids in school safe. That's a big thing. Okay, keep them in school, keeping the school safe. And then also, I can't thank enough Salmon Ventures for, and then Coach Races here and Kim Schauck in regard to having grapefruit. Our district did not incur a cost for any type of testing. We had to supply electric to a pod, but we didn't have, our district did not incur any cost, zero. So we're very thankful for that. Scott and his team have also been very busy because a lot of people are getting out of education. And so he has hired 104 certificated staff, teachers, psychologists, guidance counselors, and then 59 non-certificated staff since last July. It usually was about 20, 25 people a year. So think about the work that our Human Resources Department had to do with in this field. I'm going to talk loud.
Use your teacher voice.
So, also promoting the district. You know, that's one thing I've noticed because I've been in Cherry Hill, I've been in Pemberton, and I grew up in Camden County. But we have to sell ourselves like we are, a proud community. A proud community. And so we have to sell our wares. We can't be shooting ourselves in the foot and arguing with each other, whether it be with the city council, with the Board of Education, or any other thing that goes on. We have to be a team, and we have to sell and say, Millville's a great place to be and work. And so we've been doing that. We've been going out, Scott's been going out in job fairs, and making sure we get our staff in, our good talent, and keep them there, and making sure they're going to be the best teachers for our kids. And actually improving, and he's working on attendance too, because attendance was an issue coming out of COVID. Staff relations, as I talked about. We want to meet with the union leadership and making sure that everything is, you know, copacetic. But also, we brought in a psychologist that visited all the schools to measure, you know, what we need to do as far as supporting our adults with social emotional aspects of their lives, because we're also dealing with the teachers. Moving forward, curriculum instruction. Dr. Pam Moore, I mentioned her. We're going to spend about $1.3 million in next year's budget on our reading program. Our reading program was outdated and not aligned to the current standards. There's 120 classrooms with 2,200 kids. And we have to have classroom libraries that can adapt, not a library like the, you know, a school library, but an assortment of books to interest and grade level, reading level, so we can, whatever they're teaching, they have that at their access. You don't walk to the library. And so each one of those classrooms will have a classroom library, and actually make sure that we're up to date with our reading program. I'm a math guy, but we all know it starts with reading. So our K-5, and I was here before with our scores, we had about 20% of our kids meeting the standards. We need to improve or start with reading. And the professional development actually started yesterday with our administration. And then also with our staff, they're going to have a day in June, and also training in the summer, and also in the first day when they get back. And they're going to make sure they have all their resources available. Can't have any excuses. You have to make sure that they have what they need, and they deploy it. And then we're going to have like action research. Look and see what we're doing. In October we have an in-service, meet again. We actually plan for 10 days per school to support those teachers in the reading program. We cannot fail. We cannot fail. And actually the curriculum running over the summer to make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. Also class sizes, real big. At first, it was because of COVID. And Don will tell you we had to cut the class sizes in half. So kids came in on 2 days, another group of kids came on other 2 days. And so we had to safeguard ourselves from whatever the governor was going to tell us we had to have in a room with social distancing. So Joanne Burns at the Early Childhood Center had a cap of 15 And those kids were able to stay in every day. So I went, if Joanne can keep her kids in every day, the whole class, we could do that at K-2. So K-2, we had class sizes at 15, like our early childhood center. And so, thank you. And so, and then in grades 3 to 5, 18. And obviously we were higher, about 5 to 7 kids more in class. And so now, whatever they were going to tell us we're going to do, our kids can go to school every day, Monday to Friday. A byproduct of that is the teachers love it, the kids love it, the parents love it, because they can make a better connection. There's less kids that they have to, education is about making connections. If you have 22 kids as opposed to 15, it's going to be a better product for the kids. And so that's what we're striving to do. So we had to hire 15 additional teachers for this current year. And we paid with it through federal funds. And so, like a business, you got to say, okay, what happens when the federal funds dry up? So we have to build a plan to transition when the federal funds dry up and actually replace that federal funds with general fund money. And so when you look at the money that we spent for the reading program, which was a one-time expense, Rich Davidson's here, we're going to put that money towards keeping those teachers here. So people say, what are you going to do when the federal money runs out? Well, we're going to have a one-time expense and then replace that and keep that recurring expense in the general fund to keep the staff there. Stephanie DeRose, Stephanie's right here. She's waving. She got her Queen Elizabeth wave. Doing a lot of work. I got to slow Stephanie down. I don't know what's coming next. Actually, there was more bullets. I had to pare it down for brevity. So in our applied course weighting for our early college program, we had parents that were saying, hey, how come the early college course for physics gets the same amount of weight as music history? It doesn't. And so, there's like that whole balance. So Stephanie met with the families and then met with obviously our supervisors to come up with a coherent plan of what the weight was for each course. It wasn't easy, but it got done. It was communicated. And then I'm a curriculum person, and so my big push right now is what gets measured gets done. And our tests just go to the kids, and we don't even know if we're doing good or bad in the classroom. So every end of year assessment needs to be put in what's called Banquet, which is like a warehouse, so we can monitor progress. Because it's the definition of insanity. We just keep on rolling out the same curriculum and don't know if we're doing good or bad. And so that's going to be like we call tight and loose. The tight will be you have to have your assessment in Lincoln, and then your day-to-day stuff that you do what you have to do. But we need to monitor progress. And we're also going to be putting in a new math curriculum in our high school in the 23-24 school year. We had less than 10% of our kids pass the Algebra 1 assessment. So that's great. And then Stephanie's working with the Director of Guidance, working with the schedule, and then working with the middle school. And the middle school has been the bane of our existence for the past 6 to 8 months. And so we're doing many things. That's why Stephanie put in, we have policies and procedures for the middle school, very common sense remedies. But the schedule was part of the dysfunction. So they departmentalized it as a junior high model. I have it crossed out on purpose because that's what it's not going to be next year. So if you're a 6th grader, and this isn't the school, but if you went to this language arts class, and then you got to go down the hallway and go to science the next period, and go here and then go to math, you see how there's no rhyme or reason about travel for our kids. And Lakeside Middle School is a large building. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to go back to, really, it's a 70s model. It's called Teams model. Dr. Miller's here, so he knows about that. And so when you look at that Teams model as a language arts teacher, social studies, science, and math, that's a team of 4 teachers. They'll have about 100 kids, and they'll be focusing on those kids. And those kids stay in that area. And those teachers can focus on those 100 kids. So when we talk about math, language arts, social studies, and science, but there's also a social emotional piece that those 4 teachers can talk about the behavior of those kids and have parent conferences and say, it's not just me, it's not just my personality with your child, the whole team is meeting with you about your child and what we need to do to remedy whatever it needs to be. And so when you look at it, that'll happen throughout the whole school, okay? And that's a heavy lift. And that's what Stephanie's working on too for September to make sure that happens. Thunderbolt Academy. And so we have kids that are going to the Thunderbolt Academy, that's our alternative high school, and they never leave there. There's no pathway back to the high school if they are improving whatever their needs need to be addressed. So Stephanie's taken on a three-pronged process, obviously disciplining grades, grade level readiness and supports where necessary if they do go back to the senior high or middle school, and then an oral presentation appeal. So we have to build that pathway back. They can't stay there. We gotta see, it might be the best place for them, but not all. In 6 years, you had not one person transfer back to the high school. There's something wrong there systemically. And then we have to address our placements. So when a child does get placed into the alternative school, and you can see we put 9 from the middle school, 9 from the high school, and 22 from our middle school. So for 6 years, the kid will be in that program? Might be, but what are we gonna do to make sure they have a pathway back? They deserve it. And then we have to facilitate all of our regular placements. That's what Stephanie's doing with Bridgeton. So it's a business model. So what's happening is the model we currently have doesn't have enough teachers for instruction. It's dollars and cents. So by bringing so many students from Bridgeton in, we're able to make money and then pay for another teacher to give the kids more instruction. So when you look at this, how do they get better? You need the funding to do that. So it's a revenue cost neutral, but you have to bring in about 20 kids, and it'll offset those costs. So we're looking at that, maybe expanding that program. We presented about the high school. So Stephanie's been an integral part of the high school and what's going on there. That beautiful high school, you saw the gym. Planning and implementation of the 9th grade move. So right now our 9th graders are at Memorial, and 10, 11, and 12 are at the senior high. Next year, the 9th graders will go to the senior high, and there'll be no more high school students, general ed and special ed, there'll be no more high school students at Memorial High School. And then we'll be facilitating an action plan with security. We polled our staff, and we have to tighten up what we do with security at Lakeside. And then look at, like I said, the procedures, and then we're also looking at a summer program for that loss of learning for our kids. And that's it, but I have something else about Memorial, but we're moving the Thunderbolt Academy from Wood to Memorial starting next year, okay? So now, because Jerry wants to, we want to pair up what's going to happen in June, I wanted to hand the mic and the clicker over to our Director of Exceptional Programs, Mr. Stephen Tu. Steve.
Thanks, Tony. Hey everybody, I appreciate the opportunity to speak and meet with everyone today. I know a lot of you in the room, or recognize a lot of you. Like Tony said, my name is Stephen Tu. I'm the Executive Director of Exceptional Children and Student Services. So what we're going to do today is just give you a broad picture of the services that we provide students here in Millville. So in the interest of time, it's going to be like skipping rocks, okay? We're just going to hit the surface. I could spend a lot of time speaking about this. Our department is very vast. Are you hearing things? I'm hearing. All right, I'm glad it's not just me.
It's track.
Yeah.
They're talking to them.
That we're good. They come and go, right? So our department is very vast. We oversee school counselors. So we basically provide all the additional supports that goes into the academics, the athletic frameworks that's in a traditional school. So we're everything from the school counselors, the school assistance counselors for students with any type of drug use issues, students' mental health, and we also deal with special services, children with disabilities, the child study team. So it's a very vast department that we work pre-K through 12 in all the schools in the district, including the Thunderbolt Academy. And we also have many students outside of district as well that we work with. One of the key things that we realized a long time ago is that in order to be successful in any school district, you have to do a concept called teaching the whole student. If you think that when the bell rings at 2:30 or 3:30, and the kids go home and you're going to just meet them again in the morning, you're not going to be successful. We have to understand the concept that we have to work with kids and families after hours, before school, on the weekends, to meet their social, emotional needs, their academic needs. We just can't just assume that parents just, hey, they're on your watch, we'll see you tomorrow. So that was something that was very integral to the work that we've been doing here in Millville. For the last 11 years I've been in the district. It's constantly bridging the school district and the community. How do we work together as a team? I always said everyone's fighting the good fight. As a member of the Elks and other organizations, you say, well, they're trying to help out families, they're trying to help out families. This business wants to help out families, they just don't know where to go. Let's all get together and figure out how to do this together. However, with the pandemic, it became magnified. And when schools were closing, and friends and family, I have a lot of friends that are in education, a lot of family that are, and they say, wow, this virtual instruction is really tough. You know, teaching kids, they don't have their Chromebooks on, they're not logging in, they're not handing in the work, there's too much going on in the background. My comeback was, we haven't seen anything yet. When do we reopen schools and the struggles we're going to see? And a perfect example is, I'm a father, of 2 young boys, 8 and 5, and we try to limit their screen time, right? Anyone here who's a parent or a grandparent, or you just look around in society, at the gym or anywhere else, you go, everyone's staring at devices. Anyone here who works in the high school, Jamie and Steph will tell you, and Meg, you go into a lunchroom, these kids are just staring at their phones. They're not even talking to each other. So we already knew we had some mental health and some issues going on with students when it came to the social emotional learning. How to go for an interview. People here in obviously the Chamber of Commerce, when it comes to being job ready, we knew we had a problem to start with. And then we sent kids out of the building as fast as we could and handed them a device. All right, see you later, take a device, here, take a device, we're gonna teach you online. And we come back a year and a half later and we're wondering, well, we're having some maybe behavior problems, or kids are behind, or they're not interacting with their teachers, they're not connecting. It's a major issue that we're facing, and we knew it going into it. So we developed a plan in order to provide these supports for our students and families in Millville. And I'm very proud to say the team here in the district has done such a great job. It is one of the best in South Jersey of all the districts that I personally network with. But it's important for me to get in outside agencies that work in other districts, that are in other buildings, other classrooms. So I work very closely with outside organizations like NJSPAN, which is an organization that fights for students' rights for disabilities. I work very closely with outside consultants that are in 10, 15 different districts, from here to Linwood, to Egg Harbor, to Mullica Hill, to Sewell, Marlton. I want to know, how are we doing compared to them? What are they doing? What are they doing? We want to provide the best support for all our kids and families. And overwhelmingly, what we've been able to do in the last 2 years since the pandemic is above and beyond what other districts have put in place. And it's because of the team we have. So just to go through some of these, like I said, for the interest of time, so I can get the mic back to Tony, is we have a resiliency team. This is a district-wide team made of district employees who have day jobs, but they do this as volunteering to help out. Their job is to train staff in the neuroscience of trauma. That's what they do. So the staff have a better understanding. A child who's going through a traumatic event in their life, it changes the brain. We have to get away from the concept of they're lazy, they don't like school, they have bad parenting, they're traumatized. The analogy I give, we have such a hard time understanding adults and children with disabilities we can't see. If we can see the disability, we can say, the child may be autistic, the child's in a wheelchair. But if you can't see it, you have a hard time connecting. So our resiliency team trains our staff and our administrators on how that looks and how to work with the kids and families when it comes to this. Should have a better impact on our student referrals, discipline, keeping kids in school. So this is what our resiliency team does throughout the district. We also have a crisis team. So the resiliency team is proactive. Our crisis team is reactive. In regards to if there's a traumatic event, a child is injured, a family member dies suddenly, this team would spring into action. They're from all across the district So if an incident happened at one of our particular schools, they go there. But they're trained experts in how to deal with those crisis situations. They provide counseling for families, students, teachers, administrators, whoever needs it. We network with Perform Care, who Ralph's coming out for the 6th, DCP&P, Step Ahead, Crisis. So we know all these agencies on a first name basis. So if a child's in crisis, we know these outside agencies on a first name basis to get them the help they need. The person who leads that.
Mention handle with care, because I think they don't know what we get like once a day now.
In regards to.
We get emails of traumatic events outside of
Yeah.
school.
So the woman who leads the resiliency team, that's her full-time position. She's a district crisis coordinator. She trains her staff, she works with the staff, and is constantly working in the schools. There's a program that Tony's referring to, Handle with Care, and this is where we work with the police department. The police, under this New Jersey law, which is a few years old, have to notify the school districts if a child experiences a traumatic event, such as a police visit to their house. That's all we know. We don't know the details, but if a 7-year-old is living in a residence and the police were there for whatever reason, drugs, domestic violence, stolen vehicle, we're alerted. Hey, just so you know, this child had the police come to their house last night. We don't do anything besides keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on her, just to make sure that they need help. We don't give them extra attention unless they need it. So we get well over 100 of these every year. So we have a close working relationship with the prosecutor's office and the Millville Police Department. This past 2 years, we also brought in a BCBA. This is a behavior expert. We're actually going to be hiring our second one. This is huge because teachers are experts in content and how to teach, not in behaviors. So you look at this a lot of times, teachers are struggling to be like, I don't know how to get this child back on task. So we hired a district expert, and we're just proud to say that in Cumberland County, we're the only school district that has a full-time BCBA on payroll. ABC Consultants is this outside agency that we brought in. Like I said, they work in many different districts, and they also train our administrators, teachers, and staff on how to work with kids that are exhibiting behavior problems. Behavior problems can be anything from refusing to do a work, knocking over, or just shutting down, not wanting to go to school. That's a behavior. You need to come to school. And after the pandemic, everyone handled this differently, right? We all know adults who didn't want to leave the house, who didn't want to bring the mail in and left it in their garage for a few days, who didn't leave, who were that. Think about a child. The world they know is only 8 or 9 years old, and they're experiencing this. It's traumatic, and it can shape them for the rest of their lives. So we have to provide those supports to help them at an early age. We brought in additional counselors and coaches. We got a federal grant for this to work with students that are exhibiting behavior, attendance, and grades, and behavior issues. We also hired 3 counseling social workers. So we, in all, have hired 5 additional counselors throughout the district. We brought in a BCBA, so we constantly keep adding in those additional supports for students and families. We do have a social emotional curriculum that the teachers are implementing on a daily basis. We brought in a Thrive program from Cherry Hill for our preschool. Joanne Burns and I worked closely on getting this in to help our 3 and 4-year-olds who have been out of school for so long. But all this work being said is also contributing to helping build a better school system and build better programs for our kids and families with disabilities and special needs. We have a department motto, and it's if you treat every child like your own, you'll never go wrong. So we want to build programs in Millville for kids and families in Millville, so they don't have to take an hour bus ride to the school in the other county. Could you imagine being a parent, or maybe you are a parent of a child with a disability, and you find out, sorry, can't educate your son or daughter here, but we can get them on a bus an hour away. That's devastating, and that's not acceptable to me. So over the last 4 years, we were able to bring the total students we have at the district now are 50, and 4 years ago it was 82. And that's by building our programs up from within and supporting our staff and the proper trainings here in the district. So just to wrap things up, anyone here in the room is interested in taking part of this. We're starting a program, it's been years in the works. Deb Malone knows about it well as a board member, and the other board members here in the room. It's our PACE program at the high school. This is a program where high school students with disabilities are in a self-contained class, and the goal is to have them job readiness skills when they graduate. These are children that their ultimate goal is to be able to have a job. These are students with multiple disabilities, students that need those additional supports. And the goal of the program is that every kid that when they graduate, when they cross Wheaton Field, they have employment. So we're constantly looking to work with nonprofits, businesses in the community that can offer these children these opportunities to come out once a week, to work a few hours, to kind of get to how it works in an office, how it works in a certain business, you know, cleaning, helping in the basic office work, and there's various levels. But we have a job coach, so we don't just drop off the student and say, okay, we'll see you too. We have to have a trained job coach. We're providing transportation. The job coach has to be trained in all New Jersey state laws in regards to child employment. So if anyone is interested, please just contact our office. This is a program that we're really going to be getting going next year, and it's been some time in the works. But we know, like I said, it takes a village. We've been working with all our community partners. We work with the Holly City Development Corporation, Connected Families, the Police Athletic League. Work with Beth Thomas and the Department of Health and SPAN. These are some pictures of the people on the team here who have been doing this work for our kids and families. Our school psychologists, our social workers. Like I said, we create our partnership. So we work very closely with the police department in order to get our staff members in the community to really see, you know, work with families. These are related services providers. So we have a really big department, a team of people that are dedicated to the kids and families here in Millville. These are a couple of our social workers who are awarded different things in our department. So once again, it's great work that this team has been doing for our kids and family, and I'm glad to be able to share it with you today.
Thank you, Steve. That's going to be a tough act to follow. But I will add that we acknowledge Stephanie and Jamie, and Steve. We hire smart people, but it takes more than smart people. It takes passionate people. It takes passion. It takes the love of Millville to get things done. And that's where I hope you got that from Steve, as well as all the information. It's a good job. Moving forward, operations, Rich Davidson. I didn't have a picture of him. I couldn't find any pictures of Rich Davidson. I was going to put, any of you that are older, you'll know the show The Shadow. So I was going to get The Shadow and then show of Rich Davidson. But Rich's responsibilities, obviously working in concert with Mrs. DeRose, the high school. And then also high school, we had to irrigate the playing fields. We had to look at the parking lots, get those done, and making sure that we're getting all the parking lots done in the district. Security vestibules, it's been slow going, but Silver Run and Lakeside both have been done. And they also have keyless entry as far as what we need there. We're going to be building that into, well, you'll see three more schools next year. And then cameras, believe it or not, we were woefully behind in our security cameras. And so now Lakeside and the high school, senior high, Lakeside and Silver Run are a complete package. And then the remaining schools will build up in this upcoming school year. Again, the future projects. You'll see that with the money, when Rich has put aside of the federal money, if you remember back in 2008 with ARA funds, the state used those funds to pad their budget, but yet they put it in the recurring expenses. So there were funds that were spent with recurring expenses, like I told you, with staff. But we have to put those towards one-time expenses so we don't get like a drug and we depend upon it. So we put $15 million in so we can get Silver Run done. And also, we're going to work on Holly Heights. I mentioned the security vestibules, the driveway at the senior high, because we have to look at that, making sure that in and out is going to be working well. And then working on the use of Memorial, because we're going to move Thunderbolt to Memorial. And then also looking to see, that'll be our next step then, what are we going to do at Wood School? Finance and accounting, Rich put in a new automated accounting system. Again, there's $20 million that was from federal funds, but $15 million will go towards one-time fixes with our infrastructure. We also, Bob Trivolini, many of you know, secured and worked with Rich, had another $500,000 grant for our security. And then also, Rich put in with working with Kim and Coach Serace with Sound Adventures. We're going to put in. We have one $5 million grant. We want to get another $5 million grant in to complement the funding of Silver Run and get Holly Heights done, and then also Rick Avenue as far as the HVAC. We worked on our free and reduced lunch system, and that's how we get funded. A lot of our funding is through there. I'm going to spare you on that, but that's something that we're working on to make sure that our accounting is more precise on the children that need are identified of that need. And then negotiations. This past 2 years, I can say I have these people up there. So last night, you got Mr. Wilman here, you got Debbie, you got Kevin Asselta. It isn't easy, as you all know, negotiating, but they did a fine job. I want to recognize them for, our Council 18 are our custodians and maintenance, and they're people predominantly that work in Millville. And there had to be a balance of being fiscally prudent, but also giving them what they deserve. And so I want to commend them for that. That was a little touchy meeting last night, but we came out where I think everybody wins with the settlement. But also working with the Teachers Association, that was 3%. I think the bond was a 3.2. I'm hearing that, I'm not saying we won because it was 3%, but I'm hearing upwards of 4% raises now coming with inflation, and also really good job of getting the contract done. And then the MSSA are other administrators that are not in the teachers union or the administrators union. And then that's called Central, it's a Millville term, Central Executive Office Staff, Administrative Assistants, so we're getting that done too. And transportation, got to thank Shepherd Bus. Our increase next year is going to be what, Rich?
1.91.
I was like grinning from ear to ear because I thought it was going to be at least 10% with fuel and also with cost for higher wages. And then student behavior on the buses. Technology, you'll see we're doing a lot with technology. You can see we had a penetration test. We're going to the cloud with everything. Also, we're standardizing our whiteboards. We have interactive whiteboards, so every classroom has that. And then I have Meg Finney. Meg's doing what she's doing best. She's on her phone right now. But again, our outreach, if you know anything, Fireball, Superstar. I mean, really, rock star. All the stuff that we're doing and Millville Grad, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that, getting the word out, all the positive things. When I got here, all I heard was, why are we celebrating all the things? I said, we'll do that. Just give me time. And Meg's doing a great job of getting out there, getting the positive word about what we're doing in Millville Public Schools. And again, all the stuff that we're doing as far as the communication with our community. And this is her plan. We're going to update our website. And then also it's called two-dimension, because you can send information out, but that's not communication. It has to be two-way. And so we have board briefings after every board meeting so people can see what happened at the board meeting or read what happened. The newsletter, my weekly 3 with Tony T. She's the one that keeps me online. She's there like, all right, what's our 3 topics this week? Okay, we'll get it out there in our broadcast. So great job, Meg, with that. And then branding. You'll see that Silver Run will have a new display sign out in front of their school. And then it's a discipline. We're rather scattered in the district in regard to each each school with its own district. And Meg, I try to do it, but Meg's doing that where we're saying you just can't pick whatever you want. We're Millville. We're not Silver Run. We're not Lakeside. We're Millville. So when you see these signs, there's a consistency in the branding. So we're working on that. And there's much more work to do with that. So you see the district branding. And again, she's working with Scott Godfrey on recruitment, making sure we get the word out. And then policy and regulations. You'll see Kim Carty, Tina McCarran, Marissa Ranello, Stephanie Risley, and then Rick Cox just joined us. We went through a whole year of updating our policy because we had no regulations and we were limited on our policy. We're about 5 or 6 years outdated on our policy. And then our next step is the student and staff handbooks. Very basic, but this is what's necessary, the fundamental building blocks. But it starts with the board, and then the administrators can create those handbooks with parallel language from the policy. And then our bullying, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. It's big coming out of the pandemic. Everything is bullying now, and fortunately, Steve, this should have been Steve's slide, but when talking to Jerry, I wanted to keep Steve's part there. but this is really Steve's work, working with harassment, intimidation, bullying policy, and then also how we react to bullying. And excellent job. We streamlined it. We make sure it's consistent, and so far we're doing pretty good, even with the drama that goes along with each investigation. And now school funding. We're almost done. This is the state formula. So this isn't my calculations. And right here you'll see this is called the state funding formula. And it says that our budget this year should have been about $91 million. And our budget, if you take state and local, it was almost 80,000. So when I look at that, you know, I'm not looking for more money. It's just as taxpayers, you know that when they look at theoretically what we should be spending and what we're actually spending, we're about $11 million below that. Okay? And then state aid, we're about even. We're getting about what we should, this past year for next year, we're going to be about $1 million short. They short us, so we'll work on that. But this current year, we're about even. So we're keeping our eye on that. And then local, so you know, that's this is where we pay, and this is what the state says we should pay. And there's no campaign to close that gap, but it's a talking point to talk about the relativeness of what we pay and what we're supposed to pay, and it's based on aggregate income and property value. So there are districts, Rahway, South Plainfield, that have about $1.4 billion in property, but they get not even a quarter of what we get in state aid. So to me, it's fair. And again, there's no campaign to close this gap, but it's an understanding about, relatively speaking, what we pay locally and what the state says we should pay. And moving on to the cherry on the top. New turf field. Being here in Millville, I learned that, you know, we're talking about extracurricular activities. We have Gabby. Gabby, you're a great student, but how did I meet you? How did I meet you?
Through the football.
At the football game when I interviewed you, right? So she's now saying student, but I was able to, you know, the extracurricular activities that get our kids engaged. And so 2012, Bridgeton's had their stadium and their field. 2012, 10 years ago. Catone Stadium in Violin, 5 years ago. 5 years ago. And so we're gonna start the wheels turning on a new turf field and a field house concept at Memorial High School. So what we're gonna do is we want to have a new track and a new field house. And that's just conceptual where it's at now. A new track, a new turf field, and a new field and a field house. So the track will have a turf field. We'll move the existing stands back some because we do have room, and the press box will remain. And we'll have right now we have a 5-lane track. It actually ends into the stands. So when the engineer came out, he's like, "Why does your track end at the stands?" I said, "I don't know, we'll fix it." So
that's where the visitors run.
That's where the visitors run. So we want to fix that. And again, you can see it's going to be multi-purpose. So we look at it, it's not just football, it's going to be girls and boys soccer. It'll be field hockey. It'll be lacrosse. We have to be competitive. So not only do we have to be competitive at Lakeside, what goes on at Lakeside, we got to be competitive with our facilities. Because our parents are choosing, almost like it was college decisions now. Do I go to the prep? Do I go to St. Joe's? Do I go to Oma? Or do we move? They look at this now and they say, "Oh, you know, I want my kid to go here." All the work we've done at the high school, the kids are excited. They're excited about the new gym, all the new classrooms, all the new programs we have. We have to complement that with this program. So we'll have a new turf field. You can see we have a ticket booth. Right now our ticket booth is actually people walk up to a classroom and they open up a window to a classroom. And that's where we get our tickets from. And it's quaint, it's like Fenway Park, but it's like, okay, that's where the ticket booth is. It's inside a classroom. And its teachers reach outside and they give you the tickets. So we want to have a ticket booth. We want to have a black steel fence. We want to make it have a stadium effect. Okay? and then also a main entrance, and you can't see it, but it says it's John Barbos Stadium, okay? So we're not changing the tradition. And now I'm going to change to the field house now, because I think, to be clear, this is not a concept. This has to be done. We're behind. We're behind. We have to get that done. This is something that Rich is going to be working with the engineers and with our board to make sure everything's done properly, but it's got to get done. Moving forward, the field house, that's conceptual, but it is something that we want to be competitive and be innovative and be ahead of the curve. And so you look at this rendering of the field house, it's a pole barn, but it's rather a complex pole barn with masonry out in the front. And then there's going to be an inside with a 2-lane track with a half of a football field. It'll have, oh, what did I do? It'll have a team room, and then lobby and bathrooms. And this is what it looks like in Pennsauken. 2-lane track, turf field inside. Gabby, how would you like to practice band in here at night? Rather than outside lakeside at night, think about what you have to do, right? Think about all the things we can do with this building. That's why it's not just football, it's all the things we do with our community. Indoor soccer, Mr. Daigle.
Now you're talking.
Okay. I know my Millville. And so that's what we're looking at with this building. And so it has bathrooms, it has a utility room, it has just the picture you saw, but it also has drop-down nets for baseball and softball practice indoors. And when I was at Pennsauken, there was a college scout working a kid. See, that's where they go. And they do like whatever they're doing, the 40-yard dash and jumping and all. Because that's what's going on right now in high school. So we have an engineer, we're looking at the budgetary cost estimate, looking at the design, develop a timeline in phases. So it'll be done in phases, and we're going to be prudent about it, but we also are going to be aggressive and deliberate about getting it done and making sure we can have what we have with the field and what we want with the field house, and make sure that we get this done for our kids, because this is about our kids. And for closing, it was a great day to be at Bolt last Friday. We had a teacher honored nationally by Good Morning America. She was the Mother of the Year with her surrogate with her, and there's Ginger Z. Got to meet her. Boy, she was so pretty, I couldn't even look at her. I was like, how you doing? I'll leave you alone. True story. And then when Stephanie goes, come on, get a picture. I'm like, I already did, don't worry about it. But that was a great time. It was a great day to be at Bolt and have that positive image of Millville. We're here at Lakeside, and it was a good time. But also, most importantly, you said, Jeremy, you said May 26th, May 27th is going to be Olympic Day. We'll have the parade, we'll have all the kids out, ready for Olympic Day, continue that tradition. I look forward to it. And I want to thank, again, all the folks here. I recognize some of you already, but we're going to need your support to get some of these things done for the kids. So we talked about a lot of nuts and bolts issues. We talked about student achievement. We talked a great deal about social emotional aspects of what's going on with kids today, but we also talk about what we need to do to grow. So again, I apologize for the lengthy presentation, but I hope you recognize our passion and our diligence and our foresight to serve the kids from Millville. So thank you very much.
Does anybody know where the bowl of business cards is? Yeah. Right here. Here we go. All right. So I appreciate everybody. Just a couple of reminders before we pick this up. Pride in Millville Awards Banquet. May 26th at the Leavoy Theater. That's a great night with some food, some cocktails, and you'll get to be around a lot of like-minded people, enjoying people that do a lot of volunteer work in our community. So make sure you register for that. Also, June 8th, we've got kind of a follow-up to this great presentation, which is going to be, again, talking about our kids and coming out of this pandemic. Nothing is more important than getting that momentum back in place. So this is a drawing for 2 free tickets for that next month's Luncheon. And why don't we get a board member, Debbie Malone. Not you, Jamie Sutton. Richard Allen, we'll see you next month, buddy. Where are you?
Sneak out.
Oh, there you go, trying to sneak out. It's a good thing he couldn't afford a ticket, so now you got no excuses. You can wear your good suit next time. All right, here we go. Oh my goodness. Here we go. This is, oh no, Larry Malone! All right, free luncheon for Larry. All right, thank you everybody. Does anybody have any community announcements or anything else they want to? No? Well, all right, congratulations again, Gabrielle. We appreciate everything you did, and we look forward to keeping you in the community. Take care. See everybody on May 26th.
This has been a QBC television production, in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22, and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.